Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. How's everybody doing? Welcome to this edition of Tech Talk with Zyxel. My name is Tri Nguyen. I am the product manager and market development manager here at Zyxel. Been here 17 years. Looking forward to talk to you as new partners. This is a new partner webinar just to introduce you to a bunch of different products that we offer and kind of give you a taste of what we provide here at Zyxel. Just a little bit of maybe housekeeping. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A section in the box there. If you ask a question, then I can get to it as I go through the presentation. So please put your questions there, and I'll try to get to those as soon as I can. Also, we have some question time at the end as well, so you can wait until that time. But usually, I like to answer in line. I like this to be more interactive. So if you can do that, that would be great. So let's go ahead and just dive in. There's a lot of information that we want to cover. If you haven't joined one of these before, we have a lot of products. And so I want to cover at least and touch on some of the key highlights of those types of products. So let's go ahead and just jump in. So we are Zyxel Networks. We've been in the business for 32 years with our networking experience. 100 million devices are connected globally, making those kinds of connections. We have 600 employees worldwide, serving 150 markets. Over 700,000 businesses use Zyxel solutions today worldwide. And we are primarily in the North America. I'm based out of Anaheim, California, home of Disneyland in Anaheim. But we are split into 3 regions. We have our Eastern region, which also covers Canada, and those are the ones in orange covered by David Chen. We have our central account manager, which is handled by Jacob Olson in the middle there. And then on the West Coast and Hawaii and Alaska is covered by Andy there if you want to see. So these are the 3 people primarily that you would contact depending on which state you operate out of. It's basically where your company is based out of. No matter where your customers are, it's where your company is who we contact. And those are pretty much your key to all sorts of information. Whether it be product information, sales, or distribution contact, who do I go and buy through, my discounts, anything like that, any problems, inventory you have, make sure you check into them. We are internationally recognized for our innovation and design with awards across the board on different types of products, because we are also certified by ICSA Labs for the last 20 years straight, actually over 20 years now. And that just helps with the interoperability with our products, especially our security, for VPN, for all of the security type functionalities, making sure the firewall works. And we are solutions driven. So if you are a partner and you have ideas, you have comments, questions on how we can improve our product, or even directions of products that you would like to have, because we are working with our clients and we work with our own R&D resources with hardware and software, we take your information, your feedback very seriously to make sure that we have a great working product, both for you to manage as a service provider or a reseller, and for your customers in the ecosystem. We have products that range across the board, a comprehensive portfolio. So my tip to you, and maybe a takeaway that you can have, is that anything that connects to a network, think of Zyxel, because we have something that will connect to a network, whether it be security appliances with full UTM, with hotspot functionality, terms of service gateways, wireless solutions, LAN fiber connectivity with both 10 gig and PoE connectivity, gateway hotspots if you want terms of service logins, or billing type where you're charging for different types of services for internet access for a client, maybe a private and a public network, and then being able to manage it both in the cloud form and also in a standalone form as well. So really to fit any kind of maybe business model you have to deploying Zyxel products. So we have a full range of products that will fulfill that. First type of product that I want to focus on is security. It's always been a big thing, in terms of networking and also revenue opportunities, and kind of a unique, I would say, kind of a niche for many maybe service providers or resellers. They don't think about being protected or protecting their customer networks as being a kind of a big deal. A lot of times their customers are okay with just getting like an SPI basic firewall. They might even buy it off the shelf or maybe just buy it online. and not realize the threats that are out there. And we hear today about ransomware affecting a lot of big companies. We hear about even just content and malicious websites and all those things, and be able to block that kind of content comes into play. So this is where you, as a reseller or as a service provider, providing this kind of service to your customers is very important, to create a network for the business that not only is proactive in terms of like blocking these and mitigating these threats, but also allowing for productivity to happen much easier. So both protecting it and being able to make sure that everything is functioning. So we have a security appliance and actually product line that really provides speed, efficiency, and defense all at the same time in a single box, protecting and creating a smarter, more protected workspace for the businesses, protecting their networks. Some statistics: 54% of small businesses think that they're too small for a cyber attack. And how many of your customers have been attacked? And they're probably just a mom and pop. But a lot of times that's what's really affecting a lot of them, because it can take out a small business more easily, because it can't really absorb a lot of this kind of downtime that might be possible, that might be needed in order to kind of bring them back online. 47% have no understanding how to protect themselves. So your customers don't even know how or what's happening within the background, especially if their firewall, they just know something happened or the computer got compromised. They got a virus, ransomware, whatever it is, but they don't know what to do. They don't even know that they're being attacked. So again, this is where your expertise has to come into play, to providing this knowledge and also providing the solution. 43% of breach victims are actually small businesses. And there's been a huge increase, over the last few years of cyber attacks. So a lot of that is happening. Every 39 seconds, there is some sort of attack. So there's a lot of action, a lot of things going on, because sometimes the hacker is not even, actively doing anything. There's a lot of zombie computers that have been taken over or have been compromised, and those are being utilized in order to launch additional attacks to other places. So not necessarily just a direct, attack on that business itself, but be able to use that business and use their computers to go and attack other businesses. 54% of small businesses don't have a plan in place for even reacting to those cyber attacks either. So again, this is where you provide the knowledge base and the product and to be able to do it, because it's just a matter of time. It's not on their radar. They just think, well, it won't happen to me. I'm too small of a company. But a lot of these, all of these zombie kind of computers, they're just hosts, again, to launch attacks. So they don't necessarily need to attack you directly, but be able to just utilize your computer and your resources to make those kinds of connections. And now, especially too, with cyber, with cryptocurrency, and being able to utilize and do some crypto mining, some of those attacks are just utilizing your computer's resources as a host to doing the crypto mining, using your resources. So most people just see the connectivity, or maybe their computer is just really slow, or it's always constantly howling, and it's doing something that when I'm not doing anything at all. So that could be indicators that something is going on, but you need some way to be able to analyze that. And especially with more and more applications out there, people are using the cloud to make connectivities, to be able to access different applications, both like CRM and maybe file sharing or backups. Not only do they need security of that content, but then they also need higher bandwidth. So we're really pushing the limits of what hardware firewalls can do. So a lot of times your speeds are now increasing. You have multiple devices per person that's all trying to make those connections. So that further pushes the need. And now with remote access, remote teleworking, especially in our current day and age, most people need that connectivity. And most businesses are now having to push additional upload speeds. So now the bottleneck is not necessarily the download speeds of the office, but being able to feed these remote users with upload speeds and still maintaining security. That's the big deal. Being able to make sure that you're checking and performing at the speeds that you need, and still without sacrificing security. And most customers can do their speed tests today, right? They can just go to a website and easily click a button and see what their speeds are. And if businesses see their download speeds and upload speeds not matching what they paid for from the service provider, then they start blaming the equipment. So it's you as a provider to see how you can kind of take that education and let customers know that they may need to upgrade. So this is always a great upgrade cycle that we see, is when the speed kind of starts to accelerate in terms of what people can get for a very affordable price. So we can see Spectrum, and we can see all sorts of cable modem services now being offered. and being able to do that at a, a very cost effective, and be able to maybe even load balance. So our products provide a whole level of security functionality, things for VPN, so making secure encrypted connections for remote offices, remote users at home, or office to office connections on how you want to manage for accessing of local resources. But another big item is to be able to load balance and fail over. So now that people are depending upon the interconnection back to the office, more so, then productivity can go down if actually that connection goes down itself. So a lot of businesses, for VoIP applications, for connectivity applications, they can actually get multiple LAN and WAN connections, most WAN connections, both, and be able to load balance them out of the box. So being able to find out, hey, if one of the connections goes down, be able to automatically switch over to the other primary and be able to load balance all of that with maintaining VPN connectivity. So even being able to create virtual interfaces to get a higher bandwidth pipe on the upload speeds to providing VPN connectivity is available as well. And then on the remote side, there's some things like secure VPN. So using SSL VPN clients, using L2TP built into some of the laptops and computers, also in the tablets, in the mobile phones, be able to make those connections back to the office easily and functionally, making sure that's all secured. And then, of course, being protecting of the entire network with antivirus, intrusion detection, content filtering, layer 2 intelligence to be able to traffic shape different kind of applications. So if you have people using Office 365, you can give them more bandwidth or higher priority. So being able to use that as, again, part of your management services to ensure that what the customer is utilizing the connectivity for is always available and always to kind of the best qualities possible. Also using geo enforcing to be able to block connectivities from outside of maybe a desired range. If you know that people aren't outside of a certain state or even a certain country, you can block that kind of connectivity to kind of mitigate, further threats or people trying to find ways to kind of get into your network. So we have technologies like sandboxing, botnet, malware blocking, intrusion detection and prevention that you might need for some applications in healthcare or in retail, and then reputation filters to make sure that websites and connectivities to like DNS and all that is all reputable and have not been compromised, and be able to take action based on those informations. All of the devices then also have integrated access points, so you can manage, provision the security functions and be able to project that network into the wireless space. So be able to offer that for all the kind of connectivity. And then hotspot for the business is very popular as well. Being able to still utilize your private network for all your business use, but then offer a client guest network access that is totally separate from the private network, and be able to secure that separately, but still be able to provide internet connectivity. So that could be just for like a doctor's office that is providing internet connections for their customers with just a splash page that says, I agree to these terms before you go onto the internet. You can have that kind of functionality built into these devices as well. So all of that, again, a lot of features, functions, that we can go into further detail with. But a lot of integrations, high availability. Again, we want to make sure that things are secure and available and be able to do that at a high level. So we offer kind of 3 ranges in the security space. We call it simplicity, flexibility, and the ultimate series. So simplicity is just our VPN box. It does VPN. So it's called VPN series. And all of the numbers is like a VPN 100, 300, and 1000. Those all kind of range to different kind of profiles on how much bandwidth or how much speed can be offered for all those kinds of applications. Be able to do SD-WAN, auto VPN connectivity, dynamic path selection, optimization, still be able to do some content filtering, but you won't have the full UTM suite if you're looking for full security. So if a customer is looking for better than just the off-the-shelf firewall, this will be kind of your stepping stone. But most of our customers actually move and utilize our kind of our bread and butter product line, which is our USG Flex. USG Flex, because it is flexible both in a standalone mode and also into the cloud. So we have also flexibility that these can be purchased without any licenses. So it functions and behaves much like the VPN series, but has an upgrade opportunity. Or you can buy it fully bundled with 1 year of full UTM services. So it can come bundled with your antivirus, intrusion detection, your content filtering, all of that within the box. So you can choose, again, the path that you want. but be able to offer an upgrade path for your customer in the future, or they can buy it a la carte. So you can have a high performance security device and be able to upgrade maybe content filtering to it. And then maybe, as you kind of showcase the product and what it can do, they may then be interested in some additional maybe services like, antivirus or ransomware blocking, those kinds of things. So you can then upsell that, or maybe they'll add a hotspot functionality to it. So again, it's just kind of an upgradability. So it's really flexible in how you want to do it, but really the big flexibility is that it can be managed as a standalone or put into the Nebula Cloud. And I'm going to be covering a little bit about our Nebula Cloud later on. The Ultimate series is if you're looking for some high-end, somebody needs the best of the best types of security, certain types of integrations, or maybe verticals that you're using, healthcare, finance, financial, and retail, where they're doing PCI compliancy. Those may need the ATP series because that gives you the ultimate in kind of technology for blocking, including sandboxing. So that kind of protects against zero-day threats and be able to do enhanced UTM cloud-based scanning as well, and do some URL threat protection based on websites and contents that are going to. So there's a kind of, again, a range of feature sets between the three. And this is kind of just a quick breakdown of what features are included in each one of those in our simplicity, flexibility, and ultimate. And these webinars are recorded. So if you yourself or maybe team members want to go back and review them, they should be up on our website in probably a couple hours after the webinar is finished. So you'll see that, and you'll be able to go back and look at these, and you can even look at this particular slide itself to find out more information. So I want to dive a little bit more into the USG Flex just because it is our kind of our bread and butter, and this is where most of our customers, most of our sales will come from, and be able to, again, give you the flexibility in the security products. We partner up with some of the leading specialists out there, McAfee, Webroot, Lastline, Trend Micro, Bitdefender, all of those being able to provide different aspects and their expertise and integrated into our product. So we're using their signatures, using their technology, and integrating their engines into our device to be able to provide all these different layers of security services, because we know that there's just not one antivirus that you'd use. There's not just, there's antivirus, there's content filtering, right? All of those kind of things require different types of engines, different kind of signatures to be able to detect and be able to make adequate decisions on protection of the network. So our products actually come with the ability now to do express mode scanning. So this drastically improves UTM scanning using the cloud to look at hash signatures on the USG Flex and also on the ATP. The USG series, the old legacy ones, those are going away, moving into the USG Flex, and I'll talk about how our migration's happening there. But ATP can do both a signature-based or a cloud-based at the same time, whereas the USG Flex can do either. So you can choose one or the other, but it does improve performance. Now, straight up, even without the enhanced UTM, a lot of our UTM devices moving from our USG to our USG Flex has an increase of up to 500% in UTM performance. This is not even counting the cloud-based scanning. This is just straight up UTM performance between the different hardwares. So you can see if you are currently using our USG platform today, moving to a USG Flex is very beneficial for your customer, and it's sitting at the same price point. And we have aggressive, trade-in programs and things and promotions that will be coming up when we have stock coming in to be able to provide you an upgrade path to make it really easy and simple and kind of a no-brainer in order for you to use the UTM, the USG Flexes. So this is kind of a range there. It's all about speed, be able to maintain high speeds. And as you move through the products, you have your USG Flex 100, the 100W comes with wireless, and then it's all about performance. So you have to look at, as a new partner, sometimes it's kind of tricky. You want to look at if they're doing UTM, you want to look at the UTM throughput number. So maybe in this case, let me pull out my laser pointer here. UTM throughput, you can see this is 360 megabits per second. It's for the lowest end. This is kind of about full bundle with the security pack. It's about $400, for the bundle, and it does 360. So typically what you want to do is take about 50 to 60% of that number, and that's kind of what the WAN speed of your customer would be in order to kind of satisfy that kind of connection. So that kind of puts it at a 200 megabits, per second range. So if you have a customer that does 200 megabits, this would be a good fit for that. So you do the same thing with the other models as well, as you look at their their UTM throughput. Now, if they're not doing any UTM and they're just doing SPI firewall or maybe VPN, then again, you have to look at those numbers to kind of gauge what you're needing and what you're trying to do. Remember though, also most VPN connectivities, most internet connections today, they're asynchronous. So they have a really big download speed, but maybe only like a 10 meg up. And if you have more remote users that are out there that are trying to make the connection back to the office, they're going to be utilizing that upload speed. So if your upload speed is really low, we find a lot of businesses are having to upgrade their connection and doing that load balance failover functionality to give them a bigger pipe on the upload speed to provide, more adequate services for those remote users. So we range up to the higher end 500 and 700 as well. And then you'll notice that there will be some kind of synergies between the naming conventions between our USG Flex and our ATP. But we want to be flexible for those who are using our current USG series today and moving into the USG Flex. So what we've done is we've kind of taken the issue out where customers before would wait till the very last minute. They may have like a year's worth of service or maybe 6 months left on their service. They choose not to upgrade until 6 months later because they want to maximize, what they've already paid for, and they don't want to move to a new platform, with that kind of leaving it on the table and having to pay for a brand new service. But what we've done is we've helped with that migration. So you can do migration whenever you or your customer is ready to do so. What we've done is we've taken whatever is left. So let's say in this case, it's a kind of an extreme case where all the different services are expiring at different times. But web content filtering still has 7 months left. What we do is when you upgrade to the USG Flex, we will normalize it all. We will give every service 7 months left. And so it's free of charge. We'll extend it all there when you move over from USG to USG Flex. And that will then transfer, you can migrate those services over to the new serial MAC address of that new device. So then we give you 7 months. So that's just if you bought the hardware only. Now, if you bought a USG Flex that was bundled with a year, we will add that 7 months that was left on your current USG over to this USG Flex bundle with the 1 year. So you'll have 19 months of service now on this new device. So again, you're not losing anything for migrating sooner than later. So really it's an advantage for you to move again whenever it's possible. And I would actually advise for you to kind of, migrate customers as you can, because again, this is new, better services. You can see here from our NSG to the USG Flex, how much more, bandwidth and UTM performance is compared. And if you compare it as the kind of the direct USG line, it also moves over and you get a lot more benefit in terms of firewall throughput and UTM performance as well. Now, you may not remember, that a USG Flex is, the replacement for USG 40, but what you'll notice in the descriptions of our products is that a USG Flex 100 is also named a USG 40 V2. So it is the version 2 of the USG 40. It's just now being called USG Flex 100 moving forward. So, but we have that in the naming so that it helps you with the migration to know which model that you had bought before and be able to move them. And again, you could find new customers that maybe already be using USGs and be able to offer them the new USG Flexes. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have promos that are planned once we can get a good supply of stock back in to be able to offer a trade-in program. A few months ago, we offered a very aggressive trade-in program where it was if you purchase 2 years of the USG Flex license, we would give you the hardware for that USG Flex for free. So it'd be included there just for the price of the 2-year license up front. We give that whole platform. So really it becomes if they're going to be using the system anyways for the next 2 years, it's kind of a no-brainer again, just to be paying that offering. How to manage those licenses. If you have not yet installed a firewall and you want to manage or sell licenses, I advise for you to go and make an account over at myzyxel.com. If you are already a partner there, if you're already a partner with us and you have a MyZyxel account, in the top right corner, there'll be 3 little buttons or three dots that brings down some additional settings, and you have access to something called Circle. So Zyxel Circle is a partner platform that allows for you to purchase licenses for customers that you manage, or just buy license keys so that you can then go sell to a customer or to be able to install into another person's or another device, maybe off the grid that you're managing. But Circle does allow for you to manage a lot of these customers from that account itself. So the benefit of it is if you become the managing partner for a customer's device, their licensing information or their expiration will show up in Circle, where you can then add their device. You'll get notifications. You'll add their device to a shopping cart and be able to purchase the appropriate licenses that you need to bring that back into kind of normal usage, right? So, or if you have something that's expiring, you can renew that without having to deal with keys and anything. You just go through the checkout process and you apply the payment. And once it's applied, then the the 1 year expiration or whatever you've purchased for the device gets applied to the device, and the device will then automatically get that information downloaded and updated through that. So there's a lot of so again, I encourage you to go there, and also you'll have your partner discounts that will show up in that Circle platform as well. So you have to apply for Circle if you are already in like a partner, and we go through an approval process. If you want to ping your sales rep that you've done that, kind of give them a heads up, then we can try to expedite the process if you're in a hurry. But usually it'll take about 24, 48 hours for your account to be ready, and you'll be able to log in and get all that status information. We are one of the few, one of 7 brands in the world that are integrated and certified with both AWS and Microsoft Azure. So if you need to make connectivities into the cloud in one of these 2 services for your CRM, for whatever, you have to use a certified device to making that kind of VPN connectivity. And Zyxel's USG Flex and ATP products, they're all able to do that, even our VPN series. So pretty much all of our security appliances will fulfill those needs. So definitely, if that's an application you're doing, keep us in mind. And we go beyond conventional because of threats that are out there. This is really about our ATP series, our advanced threat protection firewall. So if you have needs for 0-day protection, being able to go kind of beyond your normal applications. Again, these are kind of the higher end. Maybe you're doing things in the government or finance or hospitality, or in the hospitals or HIPAA compliancy. Then you definitely need something like this, or at least to consider this. Conventional UTM uses signatures, and so you have to know what they are in order to block them. So anti-spam, intrusion detection, all those normal things, you have to know what they are. And so you're able to identify if they are good traffic, good packets, or maybe bad packets. But there is this gray area that if you're too strict, it becomes unusable because everything kind of gets blocked. So it's very difficult to identify some of the kind of the gray area traffic using just conventional UTM. So we use the ATP series with sandboxing and artificial intelligence in the cloud to manage those. And we're able to use that to conquer unknown threats. So 0-day threats that are more sophisticated types of attacks, those are actually detected. And because they're unknown, they're sent off to the cloud. And we use that in order to build additional signatures, heuristics, and reputation information so we can block those kinds of suspicious traffic and really provide a high throughput process and without sacrificing speed at the same time. So those unknown threats are isolated in a sandbox. And once that information is kind of dived into, we use cloud intelligence. We use the cloud and cloud processing and artificial intelligence to identify those threats and do some machine learning and provide protection across the entire network. So not just your devices, but every device that's connected, every Zyxel, ATP, USG Flex that uses the cloud information and signatures will then be inoculated, will then be protected against that specific file or that threat. So a little bit how it works, unknown file, like a zip file, an unknown threat. We don't know what it is. It gets sent off into the cloud. We emulate it in the cloud. So they execute it, open it up in a sandbox where it's protected and be able to see what's going on. Is it trying to make connections to, unknown servers? It's an Excel file that shouldn't be making these kinds of connections to some, unknown, botnet server or things like that. We contain that information. We then analyze it. We identify if it's a malicious attack or not, and be able to put that as some defense intelligence and be able to update new signatures according to that. So again, we all get protected when we use this kind of product. So the ATP series has that sandboxing. Again, the naming convention is similar as you just saw with the USG Flex, the ATP 100, 100W, 200, the 500, the 700, and we have a higher end ATP in the 800 series. So again, it's all about throughput, all about performance. So if you need more throughput, you go up the scale and be able to provide more security services. Now, we had mentioned earlier about about being flexible. So in fact, actually the ATP and the USG Flex now, actually in September, actually October, the end of no, first week of October, the ATP series is going to be announced to be launched into Nebula. I know a lot of people have been waiting for that for a while now. USG Flex is already in Nebula, which is our cloud-based platform. So this allows for partners to provide managed IT services using a single pane of glass in a cloud kind of format. So a little bit about it, it's a free network management solution in the cloud. And we're able to provide that hassle-free kind of installation. If you're looking on a way to set up product, you can do it without even unboxing. You can register your device using the Nebula Control Center app and be able to scan a QR code that provides the serial number and the MAC address that you can then apply into your account and be able to pre-configure all of the functionalities and configure the device before you even unbox it. And you're able to then ship it to your customer. And either you do the installation, you don't need a high sophisticated tech to do that, as long as you can have somebody who knows how to just connect cables. Or if you have a self-install kit kind of instructions that just say, hey, plug your internet connection into the WAN of this firewall. The LAN port 1 goes to the switch, and then port 1 on the switch goes to the access point. So if you can do something like that, then you could be up and running in minutes, because what happens is, as long as there's internet connectivity and the devices are able to make a DHCP or be able to make a connectivity out based on DHCP or whatever it is, if they can get out to the internet, they're going to call home to the Nebula Cloud and say, hey, here I am. Who do I belong to? What's my identity? Configure me. So then it downloads the firmware, downloads the configuration that's been applied there in the cloud. So really your technical person is the one that sits in the NOC, or your IT manager is the one that's pre-configuring these devices, again, before they get even installed. So now your network reach is really kind of expanded, because if you could think about it, because you have access anywhere, anytime, and there's no additional hardware besides the one that you've shipped, there's nothing really to configure except for being able to manage it in the network cloud. So you can configure and monitor with just a few clicks on the browser without the hassle of installing any kind of software. So you don't need additional cloud keys. You don't need additional hardware software to install, but you have access anywhere there's internet connectivity. So you have access to the interface, you're accessing to the cloud, being able to access information data from all a single pane of glass, all in anywhere you have a browser access. So it can be a tablet, it can be a mobile device, it could be PC, wherever you have internet connectivity. And you even have access to be able to provide guest network access as well, captive portal, user device management, guest protection, guest isolation with Wi-Fi, to be able to provide wireless connectivity with smart mesh connectivity functions in the access point, to be able to provide all sorts of feature functions within kind of the Nebulous platform, be able to provide enterprise class security also if using a Radius server for maybe the remote access users. And we've also added recently a new secure Wi-Fi where you can drop in access points to extend an existing network, extend an office space into anywhere that's remote. And it builds a layer 2 tunnel through the internet without you having to make your own VPN tunnels. And it can do that securely and then give you access to things that you would normally, as if you were sitting in the office yourself. So customers or your clients or your employees for that customer will be able to just log into the business SSID as they would normally if they went to the office, and be able to be subject to all the security parameters, all the logins, again, to make it more secure on that kind of platform. And you can roam as much as you want. We have roaming technologies that you can manage. And really, it's all about Nebula providing all of these management availabilities, but still providing some other applications like PoE, be able to give not only the capacity of powering up these access points and these solutions, but giving you the power to maybe do some remote rebooting, do some remote information testing, even line testing of the devices themselves to make sure your cable is working very well. You can do ACLs, you can do VLANs, there's a 802.1x authentication, DHCP service guard. So there's a lot of security functions that you can do to protect those networks. I don't know how about you, but how many times have you had maybe a customer bring their own router, or maybe their end user, or maybe one of the clients or the employees brings their own router because they want to, make their own kind of private network or whatever it is. They bring their own router, but they plug it in backwards and they put the LAN connection into the port. And technically they're DHCPing, or they can DHCP across the entire network, causing major issues, right? Nobody can get the right IPs and no connectivity. So this can happen in a lot of environments, not only for, offices, but maybe there's a shared office kind of scenario, or maybe there's a MDU where there's a lot of people in a apartment complex that are all sharing kind of a network. This allows for you to do some server guard so that only DHCPs will come from certain ports. So all of that other traffic that comes anywhere else will get blocked and be mitigated. So a lot of security functions that can come in to help you mitigate all of these kinds of attacks. And all of the updates are happening over the cloud. So you can schedule them to be updated, or you can set it for just auto update, so that when there is a new patch update, that it can be pushed to those devices. And you can do that depending on different types of site requirements. Again, you can schedule different customers at different times as well. Being able to provide VPN connectivity using Nebula really helps to establish either IPsec or L2TP type connections between either remote offices, and now we're enhancing it so that you can do it in September with even client devices. So being able to manage customers who are using the Secu extender IPsec clients that are in different devices, to be able to make those connections a lot easier using just a few simple clicks. You can put together some complex VPN scenarios and be able to get that. So we can manage all of your clients in a single pane of glass. So you can manage different organizations as well as individuals and different sites. So the view is pretty simple. You get multi-layer. You can jump in and you can have an MSP type view where you have different organizations. So each organization can give you a summary here on a top level MSP client view. And then when you drill into each one of the clients, each organization has multiple sites. So you can have multiple sites in there. So you can have maybe a retail chain that has, store number 1, store number 2, store number 3, and you can drill into that. And then you can drill into individual stores or individual sites in that point and be able to see more information. So you can get some detailed information on maybe how much bandwidth being used, how much, what websites people are going to, who are the wireless clients, how much power you're utilizing, all of the uptime information, status information there. You can customize these as well, but it gives you real-time application traffic summary information there within that organization and within the site. So that can be very helpful. And you can get notifications through the cloud and sent to you via, through the app or through notifications to a device. But really it's about information, being able to see what kind of connections, what kind of devices are there. So you can take proactive ways to maybe protect the network or also to improve the network. You may have a customer calling in and saying, hey, I have really bad Wi-Fi right here. And you're, in the olden days, you have like really no way of knowing, like, are you connected to which access point? There's no easy way for you to tell, but using Nebula, you get all of that visibility. You can see, Joe's iPhone or something that is connected to the network. You can see exactly which access point they're connected to, and then see the signal strength that is currently reading as well. So again, you can take that, you can look at, if it's maybe neg 85, neg 95, and not, probably have some signal, but can't really pass traffic. Then you're going to see, hey, that's the access point you're connected to, and what area is he physically in. You're able then to maybe make judgment on maybe there's an additional access point that needs to be made. Maybe you have to turn up the power, or there's too much interference. You might have to turn down the power. Again, this gives you a full range of visibility and to be able to troubleshoot those clients and those customers in this process. You can then choose to have, even information on how the access points are deployed, and you can put that into a kind of a blueprint map and kind of see and help you, again, see the status times and be able to take action as necessary, like in this example. And then on the PoE side, it gives you all that visibility as well. You can then see and click in to see what kind of traffic, the port utilization, the power consumption, or even to do some rebooting. Or you can send, ping tests, you can do power cycling, you can reboot the switch, or whatever you may be. You can provide you can get all that information and be able to manage that right out of the device. You can do all the port configuration things that you need within the Nebula platform. So everything you would normally configure or need to configure, especially VLANs and different kind of port bandwidth consumption or different access rules and things like that. That's all configured within the cloud. So you have access to all of that. And did we mention that all of that, everything that I've told you so far has been free? So we provide a free platform for you to do that. Now that there's differences between the free and the paid version, of course. Most of our managed service providers will go to the professional version because of the feature sets that are offered, including a 1 year worth of logs and access and information that's stored in the cloud for the reporting. So again, depends on your needs. But if you have customers that are like, I just want to set it and forget it, but you still want visibility on it, then the Nebula Free Cloud is the way to go, because you can always turn on the professional side if you so need to. But we understand that there's different types of customers, different types of businesses or applications that you may need to compete with. And so a full-fledged cloud solution with all the bells and whistles you may not need for some customers, but there are other customers who are willing to pay a monthly management fee that gives them the hotspot type more detailed hotspot management with the tiered billing and more devices and things like that, where you have to go into a professional version. So we call it Nebula Flex. We make it flexible for you to choose whether it be in standalone mode or in a professional cloud mode. So it's dual mode. A lot of our products are currently being launched with Nebula Flex, either that or it's included with a Nebula Pro license for 1 year. So some of the models includes that. And there's a bunch of different kind of functions in there. We do have a battle card. If you want to reach out to one of our sales reps that is managing your region, ask them for the Nebula battle card, and it will give you the information on kind of the differences between the basic and the professional versions of it. And, again, be able to make your decisions on what you would need. But we find that most partners move to the professional pack because, again, it is very kind of low entry cost, and they can build it within their monthly managed fee and some of the features that are providing there and some of these access. So this is one of the pro features that are there. You're able to automatically visualize the network. So it will detect devices and detect what's connected into the different switches that are there, and be able to give you a kind of a map, a network diagram, just based on that information. So that's one of the features. Another feature that I just didn't have a slide here for is reporting. So you have customized reporting access, and that's one way you can provide value or show value to your customers, is that every month you can have a detailed report and a customized report with your logo that says, hey, these are all the threats that were blocked. This is how much bandwidth you've used. This is your uptime. These is all, the different websites and all of that kind of threat information. Be able to provide that as a PDF to your customer to showcase, hey, this is what we've been doing. This is what we've been protecting you against, to kind of justify the costs that they may be, that you may be charging them on a monthly basis or maybe on a yearly basis, however your business model works there. So there's some pain points of Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go to the Wi-Fi section of this presentation on why it's important to deal with Wi-Fi. I don't know about you, but as new technology comes out and you install it, sometimes you're like, well, it doesn't seem like it made much of a difference, right? There's people still have connectivity issues, as mature or as advanced or as long as Wi-Fi has been around, we still have people with Wi-Fi issues, right? So we want to talk about why maybe that's the case. You added more APs and you still didn't improve, because those issues happen because a lot of times we have to kind of look at why Wi-Fi itself is kind of causing its own problem. The kind of the difficulty with Wi-Fi is it's not a wired connection, so you can't physically see what's connected to what in order to kind of help troubleshoot. At least Ethernet, you can kind of go, okay, well, there's a bad cable or there's a bad connection or the port's down or the switch is down, right? You can physically see some of that information. So what's really happening most of the time in cases, and you've probably seen it yourself, is that in order to achieve these higher speeds that people want with Wi-Fi, you have to use more bands, right? You have to use more pipe. So, Wi-Fi is like a giant, maybe a fire hydrant pipe, and it goes down and it divides it up and it gets smaller and smaller, right? So if you're using different channels. But in order to get more water or more bandwidth, you have to use a bigger piece of the pipe. So that's where it causes interference. If you just had from the street, the entire pipe went into your house, then nobody else would get any water pressure, right? That's kind of what's happening with Wi-Fi. It's called co-channel interference. Everybody wants a piece of the pie, but can't get it because with the technology that's there, it can only talk to one person at a time. So the issue is, what we call co-channel interference. So how does smart antenna kind of help with this? So let's take a look at what a typical antenna in a network environment will work, how it works. So with a static antenna, it just broadcasts, and if there's interference there, like a microwave or whatever it is, building materials or whatever, it can cause interference with other devices. And as you add additional devices into the network, it also causes interference as well. So maybe some of those laptops and stuff, they're getting kind of poor transmit or poor receive, even though it sees a really strong signal. I mean, how many of you have seen, your mobile device or your laptop see full 4 or 5 bars on the Wi-Fi signal, but you can't pass any traffic. You're losing packets, you're dropping packets. It's because of that interference that's happening, and it can cause that issue. So how does smart antenna work? So smart antenna actually uses an optical pattern. It will check for different types of patterns in order to mitigate any kind of interference that it sees, whether, again, it be some sort of physical device or additional access points or other clients that are there. So it looks at 700 optimized antennas. Zyxel is one of the 2 vendors that have some sort of smart antenna technology because it is a patented technology. So we can utilize that, again, to maximize the communication and be able to do that for multiple clients and check, all the time to make sure that it is as optimal as possible. My analogy to that is if I cup my hands, I'll speak a little lower so I don't, blow out your ears or anything like that. But all of my voice energy is focused forward into the mic. At the same time, I'm also cupping my ears so I can hear better. So if you do that yourself, you'll definitely realize you don't hear much coming out of the back, coming from the backside as you would. And also all of your energy, all your focus is going forward. So that's what that smart antenna technology does, is it does that digitally to be able to manage that pattern and make it more effective. And it eliminates the co-channel interference because everybody is trying to talk all at the same time. I have 3 kids, and when all 3 kids are trying to ask, dad about something, and they're all talking at the same time, I'm a simple mind. I can only have one conversation at a time. So I don't hear anyone, right? So that's what's happening with Wi-Fi as well. Everyone's trying to talk all at the same time and causing that kind of interference. So the more people, so higher density kind of applications, that's going to add to the problem. Or you have hospitality, you have education that might have 50 iPads in a single room. That's some high density that you have to kind of manage and maintain. So what smart antenna does is it increases capacity, reduces interference, and makes for better coverage and ultimately better quality of service for those clients. So you're able to join the access point very quickly and be able to provide communication very seamlessly and more efficiently. So overall, you'll have a better kind of overall experience with that. So we also designed our hardware in a way that provides kind of, again, part of the tweaking and providing kind of the most efficient way of providing Wi-Fi as possible, making sure the antennas are shielded, making sure the CPU and the radios themselves are also isolated and shielded as well. And also even a backplate for heating, for also shielding against other access points. And because of the way that we've designed it, we offer a lifetime warranty. In fact, all of our business products, switches, gateways, and access points are backed by our limited lifetime warranty. So this is our Wi-Fi 6 technology. I didn't dive exactly into what Wi-Fi 6 and the benefits are, but what it does is it does provide a better throughput. It gives you almost 10 gigs of throughput in terms of processing and connectivity, but it does offer some additional spatial, extra bandwidth to be able to talk to multiple clients at the same time. So it doesn't have to just listen to just one at a time, but be able to offer multiple connections or multiple listenings, be able to, and then ultimately provide better connectivity in a higher density environment. So if you're just replacing 11AC with the Wi-Fi 6, in most cases, you won't notice kind of much of a difference, except for maybe the throughput differences. But in a higher density kind of application where you have a lot more clients, then you'll start noticing, a lot of that throughput and be able to see the quality of service that's there. So all these products are available today. And we want to make sure, though, that if you are moving and deciding to go to Wi-Fi 6, that your switching network is kind of capable of running that. So I want to cover a little bit of our switching, as well as some other naming conventions in case you're looking for that. ES just stands for our Ethernet switch. We don't have any of those pretty much in stock anymore because everybody's moved to gigabit. So GS is the naming. So GS series, they're all gigabit ports. If you see a product that has an XS in it, X just stands for 10 gig. And XS, since it's only, it's by itself, it's just the X. All the ports are either 10 gig or multi-gig. And we have both fiber versions and also copper 10 gig versions of that. XGS is a 10 gig port uplinks with primarily gigabit switch. So it's a gigabit switch as the main, maybe 24 ports, and it has 4, 10 gig uplinks. So that's where the XGS. MGS is a metro switch, which has like a carrier grade, maybe a higher temperature range. It's made for kind of cabinets and typically has maybe AC/DC power included. If it ends in a P or an HP, that means it's PoE enabled. Even our PoE++, our Ultra PoE is still going to be called an HP. If it ends in an F, that means it's a fiber version of the switch, meaning all of the main ports are primarily fiber. So you'll see that in the naming conventions. We also offer switch combo ports, you'll see, and those combo ports will be labeled the same exact number. So in this case, it's like port number 9 and port number 10 are those 4 in the corner there. And they are shared ports, meaning you can only choose one or the other. You can't have two a fiber and a Ethernet in that same port number at the same time. So you have to choose one or the other. But again, it gives you flexibility, whether you're uplinking with a RJ45 or you're uplinking via fiber. So those are called combo ports. And SFP is just a gigabit fiber transceiver port, and a SFP Plus is a 10 gig transceiver port. So those are the different namings there. We have then PoE, different classes of PoE. Primarily now, everything's moved to PoE Plus, which is our 30 watt 802.3 AT standard. And more products coming out, including some of our XS series, is the 60 watt, known as 802.3 BT or Ultra PoE. So those are the higher PoE kind of offerings. Let's see, Samir asks, for free Facebook Wi-Fi application, we have to buy Nebula Pro, or free version is okay. For the Facebook Wi-Fi, believe you have to have the Pro version. So I believe that's part of that Facebook Wi-Fi. I think it has to go to the Pro. But I can check with our system engineer there to double check that. Or you can send an email to me. I'll have my email later on, and I can forward it on to our system engineer just to double check. Some things have been free and some are not. So we'll have to look. I have to look at the spreadsheet there too. But PoE applications is kind of the main kind of function, and we want to tell you how Zyxel's PoE is different. We offer what we call intelligent PoE. We can intelligently manage the PoE consumption of the device. So we can manage it on each port. We can power cycle it. We can schedule even those PoEs. And again, this can be done on the standalone or in the cloud. So we're able to detect that, and we're able to detect the actual draw of the device to make sure that, against the PoE budget. So an example of that, how we allocate the PoE. See, this is an IP camera, and it's classified typically as a 30 watt 802.3 AT device. So in a kind of a non-Zyxel switch, if they want to power up 20 of these, it will cost you 600 watts of power supply in order to power up, 20 of them. But with Zyxel's intelligent PoE consumption mode, because the device only consumes at a peak of 16 watts, you're able to power up 20 of these IP cameras with only 320 watts, which actually is more beneficial and has less. You're able to kind of optimize the 375 watts that are available in the switch. So we always like to say that you can power up more devices with this intelligent PoE. So we have a range of different PoE budgets, smaller switches that have small budgets for maybe VoIP applications, maybe some IP camera situations, but a lot of the IP cameras or maybe Wi-Fi applications need higher power budgets. So we have things that can go up to even 1,000 watts of power. So a lot of, ranges of products, the different models that have the PoE and without PoE. Our primary bread and butter on our switch side is our 1920 series. This is our Nebula Flex dual mode smart and managed switches. They're web managed, but can be managed in the Nebula cloud, both in the free mode and in the professional mode. Again, you just need to have just to know what kind of products, what range of them are there. The GS 1920s is kind of our gigabit switches with PoE. Our XGS has 10 gig uplinks. And then our XS 1930 series, this is all 10 gig kind of switches or multi-gig, 2.5, 5 gig. Also, this offers you the option for the PoE++, the Ultra PoE for Wi-Fi 6. So some of the Wi-Fi 6 access points need more power. They need more higher bandwidth on the WAN interface because some of them have actually 2.5 or even 5 gig LAN ports. So you need a multi-gig in order to maximize the throughput. If you're going to throw Wi-Fi 6 into an existing network, it will still work, but it will be degraded. It may not have a second radio functioning if you don't have enough power, and the bandwidth on it, if it's just a gigabit, it's not going to be able to push past 1 gig. So even though the technology can go past 1 gig. So you have to definitely make sure if you're using Wi-Fi 6 or plan to that you also plan your switch network upgrades at the same time, or at least consider that. And again, this is where our main products our main products that we sell on the switch network is the 1920s. Again, we're working on stock. There's a lot of kind of stock issues as compared to everything else in the industry or even in the world for all sorts of products. So, that should be kind of clearing up, we hope, in the next month to have at least caught up to it. And then, we'll see how it goes from there, because it seems like it's still going to be a while before everything kind of cleans up, especially what's happening on kind of the chipset side and the recent news that have come out. But we want to make sure, again, that you are powering up your devices correctly for our PoE, or maybe even just offer to your customers a new level. Maybe they're doing some applications that need or can benefit from multi-gig. Maybe some of your applications is moving a lot of traffic between the networks, maybe X-rays or CAD type files that are being served to a storage device, or you have applications with PoE, with high power PoE. Or even just powering up console computers. Now that it offers 60 watts of power, you can technically power up some of these, terminals and computers, or maybe POS type systems using just PoE without even power. So making sure that you're using and be able to maximize, these technologies using either Cat5, Cat6A. You can see how the PoE can be pushed across it on longer distances as you're using, the better cable. So you just have to keep that in mind as you're upgrading. And our XS 1930 series is one of our first multi-gig switches that give you 8 ports of PoE plus. So this 8-port switch has 375 watts of power. It's quite a lot of power just in a small little box of 8 ports, but it does give you options for fiber and then 10 gig fiber uplinks as well. So be able to give you access to that. And all of our partner program, if you're not a partner yet, make sure you jump into the partner program. It's a free program. You just have to maintain it. All of you who are new partners start out in the silver, but we want you to get to gold. The barrier is only 12K of sales in a half-year period. So in 6 months, qualifying sales. So that's like 2K a month. So if you're selling a couple firewalls and a couple of switches, that's probably more than enough to get you into the gold platform, because we give you the maximum margins. We give you that support in the back end. Make sure that you get all of that, through distribution. We use DNH, Ingram Micro, Cynix, Wave, Target, and Pace International. So it's very aggressive if you've already seen it before. But again, we want you to go to the gold platform because it does give you the most margin available there, most discounts. And feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn and also on YouTube if you want to see some of these videos and some of the other education videos. Through our website also has links to it. But if you want to join and subscribe to those as well, this would be great and give you information on anything that's happening with Zyxel, anything that's new, and also check out some of the older presentations and webinars that we've done already if you want to learn more about Zyxel or maybe specific applications and things like that. So definitely take advantage of that. Connect with us. And then if you have any other questions, and now it's your time, please feel free to use the Q&A section to do that. I'll just give it a couple minutes. We already hit our 12 o'clock hour. So again, thank you very much for your time. If you have any further questions, if you can't think of them now, but maybe you think of them later, feel free to email me. It's try@zyxel.com, TRI@zyxel.com. So if that is it, if there are no questions, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending that last hour with me and be able to just kind of go through all of these different products. We hope that we can be your networking ally, be able to work with you on projects and see how our products will fit into the different applications and networks that you are deploying and that you're selling into. We want to make you successful because when you're successful, we're successful. So we want to partner with you to do that. And hopefully we can do that, anytime soon. So feel free to reach out to us, to your sales reps, bring us on board to talk to your customers or just to talk to you to figure out what is the best option of Zyxel products to fulfill a certain need that you have. And hopefully through all the training and things like that, that you'll be able to take the reins and do most of that yourself. And we're always here to back you up and to support you in all those ways. So definitely reach out to us. Thank you, Peter. Well, hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your afternoon. We'll hope to talk to you again soon. We have another webinar coming up next week about a little bit more detailed about our preparing for Wi-Fi 6 with our switch networks and our XS1930s, coming just a little bit more detail on that. So we have a bunch of webinars lined up. So just check out our webinar schedule if you haven't already and sign up for those. Again, thank you so much. My name is Try and hope to talk to you soon.